Let's get weird into it. Number 10. The Pet Rock. Picture the scene. It is 1975. The Vietnam War has just ended. Watergate has shattered American trust in authority, and disco is threatening to ruin music forever. You are sitting in a dive bar in California, listening to your friends complain about their dogs. The walking, the feeding, the shedding, the vet's bills. It is an endless litany of biological maintenance. Gary Dahl, an advertising executive who is currently listening to this wine fest, has a moment of drunken clarity. He decides that biology is the problem. You don't want a companion. You want a projection. You want something that exists solely to receive your affection without demanding a single calorie in return. So, he goes to a builder's supply store and buys a Mexican beach stone for a penny. He puts it in a cardboard box with air holes, because suffocating a rock would be cruel, and nests it in straw. But the real product isn't the rock. It is the manual. Dahl writes a sarcastic, witty instruction booklet on how to care for your mineral friend, teaching it commands like sit and stay, which the rock is remarkably good at. It is a joke, a literal gag gift. But the human brain is a pattern-seeking machine that is desperate to be in on the joke. Within 6 months, Dahl sells 1.5 million pet rocks at $4 a pop. In today's money, that is roughly $18 for a piece of gravel you could have picked up from your own driveway. The psychology here is fascinatingly stupid. It wasn't about the object, it was about shared cultural cynicism. Buying the rock was a way of saying, I understand that consumerism is absurd, so I will participate in it ironically. It was a meme before the internet existed. Dahl became a millionaire by selling people a mirror that showed them exactly how gullible they were. And then he walked away before the joke got old. Number 9. The $1 Million Homepage. Imagine you are a broke college student in Wiltshire, England. It is 2005. You have no skills, no product, and you are terrified of student loans. You look at the internet, this vast, burgeoning digital frontier, and you realize something. It is ugly. It is chaotic. And people love clicking on things. Alex, too, decides to sell the internet equivalent of real estate. But instead of land, he sells pixels. A 1 million pixel grid. $1 per pixel. You buy a block, you upload a tiny, low-resolution image, and it links to your website. That is the entire business plan. It sounds like a scam run by a robot who doesn't understand human value. But then, the fear of missing out, or FOMO, kicks in. First, he sells a few blocks to friends. Then, the novelty catches the eye of the media. Suddenly, owning a 10x10 square on this webpage becomes a status symbol for internet marketers. It turns into a digital quilt of capitalism, a blinding, seizure-inducing mosaic of online casinos, get-rich-quick schemes, and obscure blogs. Your brain looks at this page and sees chaos, but advertisers saw a gold rush. The site sold out in 4 months. Alex, too, made his million. The beauty of this stupid idea is that it relied entirely on its own virality. The value of the page wasn't the traffic. The value was the fact that the page existed at all. Today, a huge chunk of those links are link rot, dead ends leading to 404 errors. It is a digital graveyard of 2005, a monument to a moment where we collectively agreed that a single red pixel was worth $1. Number 8. Plastic Wishbones. You are enjoying a Thanksgiving dinner. You have consumed enough tryptophan to sedate a horse. You look at the turkey carcass, stripped of meat, and spot the furcula bone, the wishbone. But wait, there are 12 people at the table and only one bone. This is a supply and demand crisis. How will everyone get to indulge in the superstitious snapping of calcium for good luck? Enter Ken. In 1999, he decides that waiting for a bird to grow a bone is inefficient. We have plastics. We have injection molding. We can play God. He launches Lucky Break Wishbones. These are fake plastic wishbones that look and feel like dry bone, engineered to snap with that satisfying crack. It sounds like landfill with extra steps. Why would you pay for a synthetic version of a piece of garbage you usually throw away? Because humans are addicted to ritual. The act of breaking the bone is the dopamine hit. The origin of the bone is irrelevant to your superstitious lizard brain. Aroni spent years perfecting the plastic formula, so it would snap like dry bone rather than bending like a sad rubber band. He essentially created a product that solves a problem that shouldn't exist, for a tradition that makes no scientific sense, using a material that will last for 500 years in the ocean. And he made millions doing it. It is the ultimate triumph of sentiment over sustainability. Number 7. The Slinky. We need to go back to 1943. A naval engineer named Richard James is trying to design a spring that can stabilize sensitive instruments on ships in rough seas. He is working with tension springs, doing serious math, trying to help the war effort. Then he is clumsy. He knocks a reject spring off a shelf. Instead of crashing to the floor like a dignified piece of metal, the spring does something bizarre. It steps. It walks end over end, coiled loop over coiled loop, down a stack of books, onto the table, and lands on the floor. James looks at this coil of steel wire and doesn't see a failed stabilizer. He sees a toy. This is physics masquerading as magic. The Slinky works on Hooke's law and the conservation of energy. As it descends, potential energy turns into kinetic energy, and a longitudinal wave travels through the spring. But you don't care about the physics. You care that it looks like it's alive. James and his wife Betty mortgage their house to manufacture 400 of them. No one buys them. A boring metal coil in a box looks like industrial waste. But then they get permission to demonstrate it at Gimbel's department store in Philadelphia. Once people saw the walk, the inventory sold out in 90 minutes. The Slinky is literally just 80 feet of wire. It has no batteries, no screens, and it gets tangled if you look at it wrong. Yet, over 300 million have been sold. It is a testament to the fact that your brain is easily amused by simple harmonic motion. Number 6. The Snuggie. You are sitting on your couch. You are cold. You have a blanket. But then, tragedy strikes. You need to reach for the remote, or perhaps a snack. You have to expose your arm to the chilly air. This is clearly a humanitarian crisis of the highest order. The solution? A blanket with sleeves. Technically, this is just a robe worn backwards. Culturally, it is the Snuggie. The genius of the Snuggie wasn't the invention. The Slanket and Freedom Blanket already existed. The genius was the marketing. They spent $10 million on direct response TV commercials that portrayed the average human as completely incompetent. The ads showed people struggling to use regular blankets as if they were trapped in a straitjacket, knocking over popcorn and looking miserable. It presented a world where blankets were complicated machinery that required an engineering degree to operate. The commercials were so bad, so over the top, that they became camp. You didn't buy a Snuggie because it was high fashion. You bought it because it was a meme you could wear. It became the uniform of the couch potato, a symbol of giving up on the day. They sold over 30 million of these polyester cult robes. It proves that if you lower the bar of human dignity just enough, you can slide $1 billion right under it. Number 5. The Wacky Wall Walker. In the early 1980s, Ken Hakuta received a package from his mother in Japan. Inside was a sticky elastomer octopus toy called a taco. You threw it at a wall, and it slowly tumbled down, looking like a possessed glob of mucus. Most people would wash their hands. Hakuta bought the rights. He branded it the Wacky Wall Walker. This toy is disgusting. It feels like a semi-solidified sneeze. If you drop it on a carpet, it instantly becomes a furry gray lump of lint and hair that never sticks to a wall again. Its lifespan of utility is approximately 20 minutes. But Hakuta, known as Dr. Fad, knew that kids love gross things. He managed to get a mention in the Washington Post, and suddenly, he was swimming in sticky octopi. Cereal companies started putting them in boxes. He made over $20 million. The Wacky Wall. Walker tapped into the primal urge to throw things inside the house without getting in trouble. It was a rebellion against clean walls. It was a toy that literally collected the filth of your home until it died. And for some reason, we all had to have one. Number 4. Doggles. Look at your dog. Now look at a motorcycle rider. Now back to your dog. Does your dog need to look like a World War I aviator? Logic says no. Ronnie D. Lulo said yes. It started when she noticed her dog, Midnight, squinting in the bright sunlight while playing fetch. Instead of just playing in the shade, she engineered goggles for dogs. Doggles. The name is a portmanteau so stupid it is brilliant. At first, it sounds like a vanity product for people who carry their pets in purses. But then, a weird thing happened. It turned out that dogs actually get eye cataracts. Search and rescue dogs need protection from debris. The U.S. military working dogs in Iraq and Afghanistan needed protection from sandstorms. Suddenly, this silly accessory became standard-issue tactical gear for K9 units. DeLillo took an idea that sounded like a punchline on a late-night comedy show and turned it into a multi-million-dollar business that actually helps animals. Your dog doesn't know he looks like a steampunk villain. He just knows the wind isn't hurting his eyes. But you know he looks ridiculous, and that is a price you are willing to pay. Number 3. Big Mouth Billy Bass. There is a special place in audio hell reserved for this invention. You walk into a room, trigger a motion sensor, and a rubber fish mounted on a plaque turns its head and sings, "Take me to the river," or "Don't worry, be happy." This is the Big Mouth Billy Bass. Created by Gemmy Industries in the late 90s, it is the perfect storm of animatronics and annoyance. It serves no function. It is not art. It is not a toy. It is a wall-mounted jump scare. Why did it make millions? Because it is the ultimate dad joke in physical form. It is aggressive whimsy. It forces everyone in the room to acknowledge it. Buying one was an act of social terrorism against your own household. It became so popular that even Queen Elizabeth II allegedly kept one on top of a grand piano at Balmoral. Think about that. The Queen of England, sitting in a castle, listening to a rubber fish sing Al Green. That is the power of kitsch. It bypasses the logic center of the brain and goes straight to the part that says, "This is so bad, I must own it." Number 2. Post-it notes. This is a story of failure. In 1968, a scientist named Spencer Silver at 3M was trying to develop a super-strong adhesive for the aerospace industry. He failed miserably. Instead, he created a weird pressure-sensitive glue that was incredibly weak. You could stick it to something, peel it off, and it wouldn't leave a residue. It was a solution looking for a problem. For years, it was ignored. It was the lazy thief of glues. It entered, but it didn't take anything with it. Then, a colleague named Art Fry had a problem. His bookmarks kept falling out of his hymnal during church choir practice. He remembered Silver's weak glue. He applied it to paper. It stuck, but could be repositioned. 3M was skeptical. They thought, who wants scrap paper that costs more than regular paper? But when they launched it in Boise, Idaho, as a test, the Boise Blitz happened. Consumers realized that the human memory is terrible, and we need to stick reminders on every available surface. Today, those yellow squares are the analog pixels of the corporate world. It is a multi-billion-dollar empire built on a glue that didn't work. It proves that sometimes being bad at your job is just the first step toward changing the world. Number 1. Can Has Cheezburger. We have reached the peak of stupidity. The year is 2007. The internet is maturing. We have the sum of human knowledge at our fingertips. And what do we do with it? We look at a picture of a fat British short-hair cat. The cat is looking at the camera. The text, written in broken lol speak, reads, Can Has Cheezburger. Eric Nakagawa and Kerry Unabasami posted this image on a blog. It was an inside joke. It was nonsense. But the internet is a machine that runs on nonsense. The site exploded. People started submitting their own captioned cat photos. It birthed the image macro meme format that dominates communication today. Within months, the traffic was crashing their servers. A group of investors bought the site for $2 million. Let me repeat that. $2 million. For a website dedicated to grammatically incorrect felines. This was the moment the world changed. It showed that attention is the only currency that matters. You don't need a factory, you don't need an engineering degree, and you don't need a business plan. You just need to make 1 million people giggle at a cat for 3 seconds. It is the ultimate stupid idea, because it suggests that our collective intelligence is governed by cute fuzzballs. And honestly, looking at the internet today, that theory holds up. And that's our time for today. More strange things are always coming, so I'll see you in the next one.